I'm just going to talk over the beat. I hope you pulled one of these beautiful guides to the service on your way in. If you turn to page 4 of this beautiful guide, you'll find the words to what we're about to sing. Modeh ani, moda ani. I am grateful to be alive and to be here this morning. Page 4 of that pamphlet. And Lucy, you'll help lead it up.
Good morning, everyone.
Shabbat.
Morning. Raise your hand if you are here to celebrate Lucy. Okay, Lucy, you see that? Like just sea of love here for you. Raise your hand if you're here to celebrate Shabbat. You can have overlap. Those two.
All of the above.
Right?
Choose all of the above.
Is this anyone's first time at Mishkan? So I'm Rabbi Dina, and we are here to do all of those things to celebrate Lucy, to celebrate Shabbat, to celebrate being in community. We've got Rabbi Lizzie and Rabbi Stephen and Benji and Ellie and Emma and Rachel backing Lucy up today, and family. I've already seen a few tears, which is amazing. This is about both celebrating and slowing down. About recognizing that it feels like probably for you, Allie and Paul, time has just sped towards this moment. And also we live in a world where time speeds so fast. And we're thinking of all of the people for whom the winds sped past too fast last night. And Shabbat is a chance to step back from that, to slow down, to put aside the things that encourage us to move faster. So if you've got a phone on you, maybe do the radical thing of turning it fully off. Woo. If you don't know how to do that, Google how to turn it off and then turn it off. If turning it off feels too radical for you right now, then just put it on silent and theater mode and do not disturb and in a bag and under your chair.
Yeah.
Whatever else you might have in front of you that might be encouraging you to go too fast, to not be right here, right now. Put it away as much as you can. It'll still be there when we finish in about 2 hours and change. For the next little bit of time, we are here to celebrate Lucy and to celebrate Jewish time and to celebrate slowing down and to celebrate being in community. So you'll have, if you didn't get one on the way in, we've got some great greeters to give you a siddur. You'll see in it, we'll call out pages. You've got English and you've got transliteration, which is Hebrew text with English letters, and you've got Hebrew text. So you have options of how to participate. What matters is that we hear your voice in some way. Not that you get the pitch and the key exactly right. Not that you get the words exactly right, but that you get the feeling right, which is you're here to celebrate, to slow down, to show Lucy and her family love that you have already done by showing up this morning, and to show love to yourself by giving yourself the gift of some time to just be present, to not be pulled in a million directions, but to be pulled in just one, which is closer to you. So go ahead, take a deep breath in. And then when you exhale, feel your shoulders drop a little bit. We're going to sing, we're going to learn, we're going to celebrate. You are at any time welcome to get up and dance in the aisles or in the back. We've got space for kids in another room if you're looking for that. We've got coffee outside if you need to be sped up a little internally to slow down in here. We are entering Shabbat Hagadol, which is the Shabbat right before Passover, the great Shabbat, the great gathering of people in the time of the temple. It would have been one of the biggest Shabbat services of the year because the people would have all come together at the temple to be together for Passover, which is a holiday that you can't really celebrate alone because you have to share your lamb with someone. So it is great to see all of you gathered here. And I hope that over the next 2 hours and some that you feel that you are amidst something special. That even if you walked into this room not knowing a lot of the other people or any of the other people, that you are part of something bigger than yourself right now. And we'll do that together by raising our voices in prayer and song and love, beginning with a Talis blessing from Allie and Paul. So I'm going to invite the two of you up here.
Sorry.
I'll let you do this.
Speak right into the microphone, otherwise nobody will hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Birdie, here we are. The talis that Daddy is about to give you belongs to Grandpa Joel, who first wore it at his own bar mitzvah in 1949. And when you put this talis on, you will be literally wrapping yourself in love and tradition and family. Just the same way that you are being wrapped with love by all of these people here who are beaming it out at you. And man, I'm feeling it, so I hope that you are feeling it too. And it's so perfect that this is a public moment because one of your superpowers, Birdie, is the way that you connect with people and bring people together. But as you know, Jews also use a talis in a different way. You sometimes see people take their prayer shawl, which is the English word for talis, and kind of like make like a little personal tent, like literally kind of create a singular space and a single space where they can talk to God or talk to themselves or talk to the God in themselves or not talk at all. The point is that it is a place of private reflection where you get to stand tall in like your own excellent company. And we think that that's important too, because Bird, we want you to know that you did this with so much help and so much love, but you were the one who chose to become a BMitzvah. You were the one who practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced on vacations, you name it. You're the one who wrote that speech that you're about to give. So we want you to think about some of your other superpowers today too, which are your strength, your incredible fierce determination, your fierceness, full stop, how hard you work for the things that matter to you, and what magical things happen when your gigantic brain and your gigantic heart come together. So you did this. These people are here because they love you and because they helped you, but also because they see the you that is in the middle of all of this and also standing with yourself. So as you wrap yourself in this tallis, we want you to feel wrapped in that love. We want you to feel the pride that we all feel, but we also very much want you to be proud of you. Rabbi Dina's going to show you.
And this is actually a great time for anybody if you want to wear a tallis, if you maybe haven't ever done it before or just didn't bring yours today. We have a box of them at the back. Rabbi Dina is going to lead Lucy in saying the blessing, and if any of you want to also say the blessing, you can follow along. So feel free to actually stand up now and go grab one from the back.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitanu BMitzvotav BMitzvah of Lucy.
Amen. Amen. And I'm going to ask everybody to stand in any case as we go into Birchot HaShachar, blessings of the morning. They begin on page 13, or excuse me, looks like, is my book different from yours? Can you open up? Is it 9 or 13? Oh, it's totally page 13. It's page 13. Page 13 of your Siddur, that hardcover book. So Lucy will lead us in Hebrew, and then we'll do the English. And we'll say Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lesavivichna l'savin ben yom uvein laila.
Amen. I am grateful that you have given me understanding to see differences clearly as between day and night.
We're going to take turns. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani b'tzalmo.
Amen. You have made me in your image with unlimited potential.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani bat chorim.
Amen. You have made me free with the ability to choose.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asani Yisrael.
Amen. You have made me a Jew, a God wrestler with an enriching heritage.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hokeach ivrim.
Amen. You open the eyes of the blind, providing sight and insight.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam malbish harumim.
Amen. You clothe the naked, providing shelter and boundaries.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam matir asurim.
Amen. You liberate the bound, releasing us from our shackles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sokef kefufim.
Amen. You straighten the bent, removing whatever pushes us down.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam rokah haaretz al hamayim.
Amen. You have made the world a secure place where nature is governed by law, and the earth is spread over the tumultuous waters.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'asa li kol tzorki.
Provide me with the skills and tools enabling me to meet all my needs.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher chehen mitzatek aver.
Amen. You guide my steps, helping me walk on my intended path.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam ozer Yisrael bigvura.
Amen. You gird me with strength and courage, enabling me to overcome all obstacles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam oter Yisrael b'tifara.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hanoten le'ayev koach.
Amen. You strengthen the weary, staying with us even when we are exhausted.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hama'avir sheina me'enai u'tuma me'afapai.
You remove sleep from my eyes and confusion from my mind. Amen. Yasher koach. And those blessings take us through a kind of almost like a yoga flow of different blessings for different parts of our body and consciousness. So just take a moment to stand up a little bit straighter. We did a blessing for having strength, which is often associated with like buckling a belt. And so I often think of that as a time to like breathe into your core. There's a blessing for your tifara, being crowned with dignity and glory, but also an opportunity to stand up just a little bit straighter and to breathe a little bit deeper and to feel your feet on the earth. Harokah haaretz al hamayim, the one who places the earth firmly over the waters, to feel your feet on the earth and actually balance left to right on your feet, who guides our steps. We went through all of these in Hebrew, but sometimes it actually helps to feel it in your body as we go then into the next prayer, which is called Ashrei, which means joy. And it's very hard to feel that only in your head. You actually need your whole self to feel joy. So turn to page 29. You can take a seat as we begin Ashrei together. For those of you who are used to doing all of the words on every page or on most of the pages, so there'll be a lot of spaciousness as we sing to do that, as we sing. And for those of you who like repeating the same line over and over to just wrap your mouth around it, so there'll be that opportunity as well. And Lucy will lead us in singing Ashrei, page 29. And if you want to join me in the words as you hear me sort of cascading through, feel free.
Not even in here. Ashrei,
Ashrei,
Yoshvei,
Yoshvei, all together, Beitecha. All together, oh, yeah, hallelujah. Oh, yeah, hallelujah. Ashrei, Yoshvei, Beitecha.
נשמת כל חי, תברך את שמך, אדוני אלוהינו. רוח כל בשר, תבאר ותתרומם, זכרך מלכנו תמיד.
Remember, the words on the English side of the page mean the same thing on the Hebrew side, and God understands all of it, and so feel free to just let your eyes go from side to side and from the words that spark your imagination and heart, from one to the next. You don't have to read every single word, but there's a lot of beautiful poetry in here.
כדבר שכתוב כל עצמותיי תאמרנה, אדוני מי כמוך.
We find ourselves at the top of 38.
מי ידמה לך ומי שווה לך ומי יערוך לך, האל הגדול הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון קונה שמיים וארץ. נהללך ונשבחך ונפארך ונברך את שם קודשך, כאמור לדוד, ברכי נפשי את אדוני וכל קרובי את שם קודשו.
We turn to 39, middle of the page.
Ay, 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 ay.
שוכן עד.
שוכן עד במחלות ורבבות עמך בית ישראל. Every generation we gather together in hundreds of assemblies and thousands of choruses to praise your name. This is what each of us must do, each creature recognizing our Creator, each praising you with the songs of David, adding our own private songs of praise. We stand on 40. Yishtabach Shimcha Le'ad Malkeinu.
Yishtabach Shimcha Le'ad Malkeinu.
HaMelech HaGadol HaKadosh b'shamayim u'ba'aretz ki lechana.
Cool. We're at the bottom of 40.
Berachot ve'hodot me'ata v'yad olam. Baruch atah Adonai el melech gadol b'tishbachot. El ha'odaot Adon haniflot. Habocher b'shirei zimra. Melech alchei ha'olamim. We're on 41. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah. ועמד דברי חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון וחיי כל בית ישראל בגלה וזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם לעמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא וירדר וירעלה וירהלל שמי דקודשה לילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן.
So I'm going to invite you to remain standing as you're able. In a moment, Lucy is going to lead us in the Baruch, the call to prayer, as we transition from what has been a bit of a body and soul warm-up into the next part of our service. But as we turn and face east towards, I guess the Wendy's over there, but further than that, right? You know, Lake Michigan, and then further than that, we have the Atlantic, and then across the Atlantic, we are all facing towards the land of Israel, the holy city of Jerusalem. And if you were in Jerusalem, you'd all face toward the Temple Mount. And if you happen to be on the Temple Mount, you would try to face toward what you imagine would be the very center of the temple itself. And so this is a moment, really of exercising our collective imagination. That we all in this room, Jews and Jewish adjacent alike, all turn in the same direction that every single other community in the world right now is also turning. And not only every single other community in the world right now is turning the same direction, but we're turning the same direction as every community that has come before us. So in this moment, we are bound together, us in this room, us around the world, one breath, one voice, turning in the same direction to feel in this moment our oneness. Our oneness as we face this direction and prepare for the Baruch. We are on page 42.
Just a point of choreography for anybody for whom this might be new. We're going to bend our knees and bow with the words Baruch and Baruchu. All right, whenever you're ready, sing.
יוצר אור ובורא חושך עושה שלום בורא את הכל. And you can take a seat.
Continue reading through the Hebrew and the English. We'll sort of give you goalposts, page markers as we move along. Reading down on 43.
Each day you burst open the doors of the eastern sky and the windows surrounding the globes around the world, propelling the sun and the moon out of their resting places. Each day you bring light to the cosmos, its components, to our world and all its inhabitants. Each day you create the world all over again, demonstrating your goodness.
And 44.
אין כרך אדוני אלוהינו בעולם הזה, ואין זולתך מלכנו לחיי העולם הבא. אפס בלתך גואלנו לימות המשיח, ואין דומה לך מושיענו לתחיית המתים. Picking up on 48. לאל ברוך נעימות ייתנו. למלך החי וקיים זמירות ימירות תשבחות ישפיעו. כי הוא לבדו פועל גבורות עושה חדשות בעל מלחמות דורי צדקות מצמיח ישועות בורא רפואות נורא תהילות אדון הנפלאות המחדש בטובו בכל יום תמיד מעשה בראשית כאמור לעושה אורים גדולים כי לעולם חסדו אור חדש על ציון תאיר ונזכח אולי מהרה לאורו ברוך אתה אדוני יוצר המאורות. So when we were about a week and a half ago going through the service and Paul and Allie were telling us, like we said, where is your family coming from? And we've got people from all over North America, from the Pacific Northwest. Can I get a woo if you're from there? We've got people from Canada. We've got people from the Northeast, from North Carolina, from DC, from Illinois. Anywhere else in the room that I didn't call out? Madison, Wisconsin, Pittsburgh, Iowa. So the prayer that we're about to say has this line, V'havi'enu l'shalom me'arba kanfot ha'aretz. Bring us together in peace from the four corners of the earth. And when we say it, the tradition is to get the four corners of your talit with the tzitzit on them and to bring them together at your heart center. And so as Allie and Paul were telling us about where the family was coming from, I was like, wow, this is truly a V'havi'enu l'shalom me'arba kanfot United States moment and North America. That there are people gathered from truly the four corners of North America here in this room together in peace and in love for Lucy, for Shabbat, for this moment. And so when we say the V'havi'enu line, we are doing that. We are reminding ourselves that we are connected to people far from us, but we are also bringing all of that close to our heart center. We are reminding ourselves that we are not dispersed. We are unified as one. We do it as we go into the Shema and say, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema is all about being one. And so we take this moment to recognize that we have loves scattered across the globe, scattered around the world, and they are all one part of us, that all of the people who love us and care about us might be physically distant much of the time, but they are emotionally present with us if we take the time to tap into that. So take a second to look around at all of the people who have gathered here from the four corners of Chicago, United States, North America. If you want to grab your tzitzit, if you want to get those out from under you and grab them, if you want to just bring your hands to your heart, to do that physical motion of gathering all the people who are disparate from you, thinking about your loved ones who are in the four corners of your world, whatever that looks like, and to bring them close to your heart, to remember that you are not scattered, you are one because you are loved by yourself and others all the time. We are on page 49. Adonai Eloheinu, Chem Lagel ישועות אתה ובנו בחרת מקולם בלשון. We're on 50. וקרבתנו לשמך הגדול סלע באמת, להודות לך ולייחדך באהבה. ברוך אתה אדוני, הבוחר בעמו ישראל באהבה. We're on 51.
Shema.
Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu Adonai
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך
בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך. We turn to 53. I feel like we've been doing a lot of tzitzit choreography this morning, but there's more. So take out one of them if you have one, because every time we say the word tzitzit, we lovingly kiss them in this little section of Torah, talking about where this commandment, where this mitzvah comes from, to do this very particular, very Jewish, very funky, kind of very cool clothing thing that we do, which is this. You know, back in the day, people wore these all the time. Actually, there are many people who still wear them all the time under their clothes. But here in services, we wear them, and we just remember this is part of the connection to the Jewish people for thousands of years. And so we express that with a little, like, literal love. ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור, דבר אל בני ישראל ואמרת עליהם, ועשו להם ציצית על כנפי בגדיהם לדורותם, ונתנו על ציצית הכנף פתיל תכלת, והיה לכם לציצית, וריתם אותו, וזכרתם את כל מצוות אדוני, ועשיתם אותם, ולא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם, אשר אתם זונים אחריהם, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Alright, we're going to turn to page 57. We are entering Passover season. Thank you. Changed my mind. We're entering Passover season, and as I say to people on the high holiday, you know, I'll stand so you can see me. Sorry. As I say to people on the high holidays, you know, and then they're like, I mean, this is a big crowd, but the high holidays is about 10 times as big. And I look out and I think, where are you guys the rest of the year? And the truth is, I'm so happy that in that moment we've got such a big crowd, so that I can remind everybody, if you went to the gym one time all year and then thought, like, I have exercised, and that would be a good start. That would be a very good start. And the Jewish tradition feels that way about our relationship with the story of the Exodus.
that we have this holiday, Passover, that we do once a year. You sit at your table and you tell the story, and the idea is that, and it's the most widely celebrated Jewish holiday. Many more people attend a Seder than will go to high holiday services. Many more people, because it's at home, because it's with friends, because you consider it's a dinner party. It's basically a very elaborate dinner party with some real funky foods. But it can be fun. It can be so many things. Ideally, it should be fun. The rabbis of the Talmud designed it to be fun, so that you would ask questions, so that you would have good conversations, and ideally, so that you will walk out of that Seder feeling freer, feeling inspired to take the kind of steps that the Israelites took when they crossed the Red Sea bravely, not knowing what the outcome might be, but knowing that they were going to be free. And the truth is, the tradition's like, you can't just do that once a year. You can't just get in touch with that idea of freedom once a year. It's not enough. So they inserted the idea of remembering the Exodus from Egypt into Kiddush every Friday night and every Saturday morning, every Shabbat, so that when you raise a glass over your Shabbat table, you should actually also be remembering Yetziat Mitzrayim, leaving Egypt. But then they thought, you know what, that's not enough either. We're going to put it in the prayer service twice a day, so that for people who daven twice a day, for people who pray twice a day, you're also remembering that you walked out of a dark and difficult place. You walked out of oppression to freedom. You did that. Okay, your ancestors a long time ago did that, but also the rabbis say every person should feel, is obligated to feel like this is their story. And so I just want to point out on page 57, we're there. We're at that place. We're at that place where we're supposed to kind of dig in, and for some of us it's going to be right on the surface, and for some of us it might actually take a little bit of digging. Where is that place that still doesn't feel free inside of me in my life, where I am looking for more spaciousness, to step beyond what I thought I could do, Because this is the moment when you grab onto the energy of the fact that our ancestors did it before us, and that we can do that too. We must. So I'm inviting us to stand as we go into Mi Chamocha and sing the song that our ancestors sang when they got to the edge of the sea.
Moshe uMiriam uBnei Yisrael lechanu shira v'simcha raba ve'amru kulam mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi chamocha nedar b'kodesh Torah tehila osei peresh shira chadasha shimchu ge'ulim le'shimcha sefat hayam yachad kol hamojudim tifnu ve'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed hayay 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 Tzur Yisrael tuma bezrat Yisrael Techinu mecha Yehuda veYisrael Lo aleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai
We're going to turn to page 58. We're going to begin the Amidah all together, taking 3 steps backwards and then 3 steps forwards. As we go into the Amidah, you can use your talit, you can use your prayer shawl in exactly the way that Ali was describing, creating your own little personal prayer tent with it. And after we do the first 3 blessings out loud, there'll be some personal space. You can continue the words in the book, or you can close the book and just let the words that are on your heart flow out of your mouth very, very, very quietly, or just be at the top of your brain speaking to God.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'koneh Hakol, V'zocher Chastei Avot v'imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה.
59.
מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ופוקד שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. Page 60. ונאמן אתה לחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמגשימות בשמי מרום, ככתוב ביד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאו, מלך הארץ כבודו. אז בקול רעש גדול, אדיר וחזק משמיעים קול, מתנסים לצרפים, לעומתם ברוך יאמרו, ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. ממקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. מתי תמלוך בציון? בקרוב בימינו לעולם בעת תשכון.
61.
תתגדל ותתקדש בתוך ירושלים עירך, לדור ודור עוד נצח נצחים. ועינינו תראנה מלכותך, כדבר האמור בשירי עוזך. על ידי דוד משיח צדקך, ימלוך עיני לעולם אלוהי ציון, לדור ודור הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש, ושבחך אלוהינו בפילוי מושלם ועד, כי על מלך גדול וקדוש אתה, ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
Amidah continues on 62 and goes through 72. Sort of wend your way through it.
We're on 73. Say shalom b'roma, u'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'roma, u'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru,
I invite you to just close your book and put it on the chair. Oh, say shalom b'roma. U'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, Oseh shalom b'roma, u'yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru, amen. Good Shabbos. Woo! We are going to do a little bit of resetting up here as we prepare for the Torah service. And so I want to invite you to say hello to somebody you did not come here with this morning. Maybe they're here for an occasion that you're here to celebrate. Maybe they're here for a different occasion. Maybe they're here from the same city. Maybe they're from somewhere else. Anyway, introduce yourself. Welcome somebody nearby. We will be getting back started in about 5 minutes.
Jonathan and James, come on up. Any of the four of you, all of the four of you.
All right, we're going to stand as the ark is open, and Uncle Jonathan, Stephen, and James, we invite you up to open the ark.
Also, best case scenario, Lucy.
And Lucy, if you're around here somewhere, we'd love to hand the Torah to you.
Torah udvar Adonai mirushalayim. Ay Baruch Shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael b'kedushat.
Paul, we need you. We will all repeat.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo.
Gadol Adonai
Shemo Yachdav.
We're on 78. The Torah is going to go around. Feel free to reach out with your book or your tallis and get a kiss on the Torah, not on the Bar Mitzvah girl.
Lecha Adonai.
Ram can take a seat. So last week we finished the book, or 2 weeks ago we finished the book of Exodus and opened up the book of Leviticus. The book of Leviticus is all about what the priests in the temple in Jerusalem and also in the Mishkan in the desert, while the Israelites were traveling through the wilderness, what they did, the sacrifices they made, the way they connected with God. And this can feel very distant from our lives, but the challenge of any person who is studying any of this literature, and certainly for a BMitzvah, is to actually make sense of and draw meaning from this ancient stuff. And that's true every single week, and that's especially true when we're in the book of Leviticus, and we're really happy and excited to hear your thoughts and reflections on your parsha.
Okay, so my parsha is Tzav, which literally translates to the word commandment. And so in Tzav, God commands Moses to give Aaron and his sons.
Can you all hear? No, okay.
Okay.
Let's go from the top and make sure that you're really right in the microphone. Try again.
Wow, that's so loud. My parsha is Tzav, which literally translates to the word commandment. In Tzav, God commands Moses to give Aaron and his sons instructions for how to perform specific sacrificial services. Aaron and his sons were to perform these rituals to seek approval from God and to become priests. When I looked through my parsha, I was stuck on the idea of why God picked Aaron and his sons to become priests out of everyone else. What made them so special? At first I didn't really know who Aaron was. So I wondered, who even are these people to be so important? Why would God choose them? Then I looked into it and saw that Aaron is Moses' brother. But it still didn't answer my question of why God chose them to be priests. What was so important about Aaron that needed to be in my parsha? Just because he's Moses' brother doesn't mean he deserves to be a priest. There's probably others who deserve it who aren't related to Moses. Why didn't God choose anybody else? As I talked about this with Rabbi Dina, she told me about how the Torah asks these exact questions. This made me think about why we get jealous in the concept of jealousy. We don't get jealous when we see something we don't understand. We don't get jealous when we can see and understand why a person was chosen or got an award. We get jealous when things seem unfair. Why is that? As I looked deeper, Rabbi Dina told me the story of Korach, which is a whole parsha dedicated to the story of Korach and his followers, thinking that Aaron being a high priest was unfair. In parsha Korach, which we will read this summer, some people start complaining about how it's unfair that God gets to be a high priest, but they don't. In their eyes, no one has elected Aaron. No one chose him. He didn't do anything to earn it. He just took the role. In response, Moses and Aaron call out to God and say, "Prove to the people that I didn't just make this, that you didn't just make this up. Show them that you chose Aaron." God does some competitions to show that God prefers Aaron sacrifices more. After many rounds, which Aaron wins, Korach is still skeptical about how fair this is. So God eventually gives up, literally splits the earth open, swallows up Korach and his followers. And that's the end. In the story, Aaron wins and seems unjustified. But in the end, equality wins. Judaism now doesn't choose leaders based on who their parents were. Our rabbis have to work for what they have. They have to choose to go to school to study and become rabbis. But anybody can make that choice. Same thing with me standing here today, talking in front of all of you. As my friends know, I've been working on this speech for quite a while now, and I've literally been counting down the days. So I hope you could tell this is pretty important to me. As you know, I'm not a priest, and I wasn't chosen by God to stand here. I get to talk here in front of all of you because of the hours I've spent studying the Torah every Sunday with Sarah and the many Tuesdays I've spent at Hebrew school. They've qualified me to speak here in front of you. As Rabbi Dina taught me, my voice as a Jewish person matters, and so does all of yours. We see these things in our society. When do we see these things in our society? There are things that are unfair and might make us jealous, making us think what made them so special. Is it actually unfair that some people get what they have, or is it in my head? We have to. We have faith that the world is fair and people are going to follow the rules. So when we don't, it seems unfair and we get upset. But also, sometimes when we lose something or don't get what we want, it's not always because it was unfair. How do we tell the difference? I think the answer must be that when we see something that seems unfair, we need to look closer to ask questions. In other words, when we see something that seems unfair, our responsibility is to call them out. That doesn't mean we have to be rude, but considering what seems unfair to us allows us to think about how we might make the world better. Maybe that means trying to undo the unfairness, but maybe that isn't. But maybe that means helping people understand why something seems unfair when it really isn't. Maybe God made a mistake to choose Aaron without any other input, or just needed to do a better job explaining why he chose Aaron to be a high priest. We can't know unless we start to dig around. So that's my plan today. My message to all of you: let's dig around. If something doesn't seem right, go with the instinct to explore and to learn more and share what we've learned. Because we can't heal the world, as Judaism says we should, until we really understand it. Before I sit, yeah, that's it. And before I sit down, here's something that I definitely understand. I'm so grateful to Rabbi Dina, Rabbi Lizzie, I don't know where he went, but Eli, Aviva, and my tutor, Sarah. I also want to thank everyone for Parker who was here to come today. I'd like to thank all of my Hebrew school friends for surviving it with me, and the former Halutzimers who are here today. And lastly, most importantly, I want to thank my family for making this weekend the best weekend of my entire life.
Aww.
Okay, now I'm done.
Yasher koach. Yasher koach. All right. Well, now we're going to get into it. Yasher koach. That means may the force be with you. You just expended a lot of energy over the last many, many months, and so we say Yasher koach as a way of saying may you have that energy back and then some, and also energy to read Torah. Yazor v'yagen v'yoshir lechol hachozim bo v'nomar amen. Hakol havu godel Eloheinu utenu kavod laTorah. Ya'amdu Eliezer Chaim ben Yaakov v'Tzivya v'Sara bat Mordechai v'Aviva, Jeremy and Katie, and also your families if you want to come up for this aliyah. As we bring your daughter into the covenant of the Jewish people. Come on up, come on up, come on up. Come this way. And Mark Siegel, I believe you're reading. Where are you? Come on up. All right. You can maybe help Mark find where his place is here. Hello. All sort of, the aliyahs for the two of you. Wait, hang on. You're going to see where Mark is reading from. Lean in, touch the place where he's reading from. And then actually it'll be really helpful if one of you holds this chart out. Yes. All right. Rabbi Stephen, will you help lead blessings?
Yes, I can.
Thank you. That's the Baruch Hu Es Adonai side. Oh, and wait, hang on. Before we get into it. We're going to be reading from this book, which is a mini Torah called a Chumash. We are on page 613, luckily. That's a mitzvah joke.
That's a good one. That's a really good
Thank you, thanks. It's a mitzvah dad joke. Okay, page 613, which is the beginning of Parshat Tzav, Leviticus chapter 6, so 613 in the softcover book.
Okay, are we ready now? Start up here.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed, Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam, Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim, V'natan Lanu Et Torato, Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah. Amen.
Vaydaber Adonai al Moshe lemor, Tzav et Aharon ve'et banav lemor, Zot Torat ha'olah, Hi ha'olah, Ahal Mokda al hamizbeach, Kol halayla ad haboker, ve'ed hamizbeach tukad bo, Velabash hamizbeach hakohen mido bao, Umichnase ba'ad Yelabash al bisaron, Veharim et hadeshen, Asher tochel ha'esh, Et ha'olah al hamizbeach, V'samo etzel hamizbeach.
Sure.
Okay. And so God spoke to Moses, saying, Command Tzav, Aaron and his sons thusly. This is the ritual of the burnt offering. The burnt offering itself shall remain where it is, burned upon the altar all night until morning. That is, it should be burned completely, while the fire on the altar is kept going. And the priest shall dress in a linen raiment, with linen breeches next to his body, and he shall take up the ashes to which the fire has reduced the burnt offering on the altar and place them beside the altar.
Right, and then kiss that place where he finished reading from.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torat emet, v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. All right, so this has been a long time coming. I mean, I remember when the two of you were mere young adult leaders in the wider Chicago Jewish community before you got married, long ago, not that long, but to have seen the progression of your family and the growth of your family, and to have that be part of our story as this community is really, really special. I know how important it was for you to be surrounded by your family, to have this moment of naming Shira, of doing a public naming for Shira. And the Jewish tradition is to announce a kid's name in the context of a blessing for the first time. And so we'll be sharing her Hebrew name, daughter of you or her parents in this community, in the context of a blessing for her health and her wellness and for the trajectory of her life. Are you smiling? Are you happy about it? Are you happy about being part of the Jewish people? Yay! The blessing for a person who is pregnant is you say to them, Bisha'a Tova, may everything happen in the right time. And Shira's right time was like a little bit before you were expecting your right time to be.
That is correct.
And so just to say, you had a little more experience, like a couple weeks more experience as parents than you were even preparing for.
Yes.
And I want to continue to bless you with sleep, increased sleep, and patience, things that will hopefully grow throughout your lives and hers, and also love for each other and love for your daughter. I'm going to invite us all to stand for a moment as we do this blessing and ask you, her family, to hold this tallis over the new nuclear family all together. You can all kind of, Mishaberach Avotenu Abraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah, Hu Yivarech et Hayoladet, Shira Yaakova bat Eliezer Chaim v'Sara. Sorry, I'm blessing you first. Hayoledet, you, Sarah bat Mordechai ve'aviva, that you should be renewed to health and vigor and strength. Ve'et bita hanolad la lemazal tov v'yikra shema b'Yisrael, Shira Yaakova, bat Eliezer Chaim v'Sara. Yehi ratzon shetizka legodla letorah ulechupa lema'asim tovim. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bless you, her parents, and let her name be known among the Jewish people as Shira Yaakova, daughter of Jeremy and Katie. May the parents be privileged to raise this child into adulthood, into the person who she is meant to become, and may she enjoy the blessings of a life of chuppah, of love and friendship, of Torah, of learning and wisdom, and of ma'asim tovim, good deeds, and loving kindness that she gives to the world and that the world gives right back to her. And we can all say, Amen, Amen, Amen. Do you want to say anything about her name?
We'd love to if it's okay.
You can.
Thank you. Here, we'll do a, here, go to the mic so that people can, so this is.
We can sit, and we can sit.
This is Shira Yaakova. Shira is after my paternal grandmother, who was just exuded life and love and joy and song, which is what Shira means. And that was really important. Music is an important part of our lives. So we wanted to kind of pass that on to our daughter. And Yaakova is for my maternal grandfather, my Papa Jack, who was Yaakov, and he was so proud of his Judaism and so loving, had the biggest heart, and we are so excited to pass that on to our daughter as well. Also, the week that she was born, which, as Rabbi Lucy mentioned, was not the week that we were planning on, was the Parsha for Jacob's ladder, where we learn about how kind of this ladder connects heaven and earth, and we're really honored to name her for two people who are up in heaven, and that we get to kind of live through them, through her. So, and Mazel Tov to the Bat Mitzvah.
Mazel Tov to you, Mazel Tov to your parents and grandparents. Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov, Siman Tov, Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov, Siman Tov. Up here is the lingering energy from this aliyah, but everybody else can take a seat.
So in our next aliyah, this is a very hot mic. In our next aliyah, we read about the Eish Tamid, this perpetual flame that is kept in the Mishkan, in the center of this gathering place. And we're told that it takes constant maintenance. Another light in our community, the light of democracy, also takes constant maintenance. And we have an election here in Chicago this Tuesday. And I cannot tell you whom to vote for, but I can tell you that it is a obligation, a Jewish obligation, a mitzvah, to vote. So, and as Lucy mentioned earlier, right, every voice matters. Actually, one of our aldermanic elections was decided by 14 votes. So, your voice really matters. So, if you have already voted, because voting is already open, or if you have a plan to vote between now and Tuesday, this is your aliyah. I'd like to invite you up and to celebrate all those in our community who have already voted, who have a plan to vote, who are keeping the light of democracy, the Eish Tamid, alive and well in our communities.
Do everyone tending the Eish Tamid of Chicago democracy, La Aliyah Hashniya. Come on in, and Ellie will show you where she's reading from, and you can lean in.
The first time there was a real choice.
Yeah. So anybody who wants to can lean in and see where Ellie's going to be reading from. Anybody? Her name? Sorry, I was distracted by that Ellie. The Ellie.
Okay, does anyone come and boop the Torah?
Nice. All right. Sorry. And then, yeah, here. If you move down a little, then there's more room around Ellie. Yeah. Oh, I love that name.
1, 2, 3.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Can Jacob come forward? You can hold this open. Thank you.
Amen. ופשט את בגדיו ולבש בגדים אחרים והוציא את הדשן אל מחוץ למחנה אל מקום טהור והאש על המזבח תוקד בו לא תכבה וירא עליה הכהן עצים בבוקר ברך עליה העולה והקטיר עליה חלבי השלמים אש תמיד תוקד על המזבח לא תכבה.
And he shall then take off his vestments, put on other vestments, and carry the ashes outside the camp to a pure place. The fire on the altar shall be kept burning, and Eish Tamid never to go out. Every morning it should be given wood and other stuff to help it keep burning. Perpetual fire shall be kept burning on the altar in perpetuity.
All right. Kind of like lean in and get that little loop, that little last kiss in there. Where she's pointing to her. Yeah. Anybody else want to see? Want to get in here and see? No? Anybody? All right.
1, 2, 3.
Baruch atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Yasher koach. Thank
At least
you.
one of you stand up here and represent. Who is your elected representative for? Thank you.
Bring someone with you that day. All right.
Hey, in addition to the light of democracy, we have the light of Lucy's family. So for this third Aliyah, we are going to invite up Lucy's grandparents, Joel and Delilah and Bob and Thea and Charles and Jane, also known in Hebrew as Yerucham ben Lev, Dina bat Avram, Tova bat Shmuel, Bob, and Yehudit bat Yitzchak v'Dvorah. This list is out of order. I'm sorry, everyone. If you are Lucy's grandparents, come on up. Do Yerucham ben Lev, Dina bat Avram, Tova bat Shmuel, Yehudit bat Yitzchak v'Dvorah, v'Robert Hill, la'Aliyah Shlishit.
Did you get Yehuda Pitzalel in there?
I did.
Thank you.
They come fast.
Your protecting angel has heard your name and is ready to protect you in this Aliyah.
Here.
Come seat. Yeah, you'll take your seat. You're going to touch where Ellie's reading, and then you'll do
Where are you
the
reading?
blessing
Right
before.
What is Zod HaTorah?
Which is right here.
And come on this way so there's a little more space.
Maybe we could have it
That's
there.
over.
Thank you.
That way we can get more
there we go.
grandparents around the Torah.
Oh, come.
Here, come this way.
Come this way. Come.
I feel like airport traffic cop.
Here we go.
All right, and this way, and further, and
Baruch et Adonai Havarach.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Can you hold her for her?
Thank you.
Just hold on right here.
Amen. V'zat Torah hamincha hakreva b'nei Aharon lifnei Adonai el panei hamizbeach v'herim mimenu bekumso misolat hamincha u'mishamna v'ekol havona asher al hamincha v'ktir hamizbeach reach nichoach az karatal Adonai v'anoteret mimena yachlu Aharon uvanav matzot te'achal b'makom kadosh b'chatzar el hamoed yochluha Lo ta'afech ha'meitz chalkam natati ota me'ishai kodash kodashim hi kachatat v'cha'asham Kol Zachar bivnei Aharon Yachlana Chakol al Adrotechem Meishai Adonai Kol Asher Yiga Bahem Yikdash.
This is the ritual, the grain offering. Aaron's son shall present it before God at the altar, a handful of choice flour and oil of the grain and frankincense and no chametz. Interesting enough, it shall be unleavened matzah there already, thousands of years ago. It shall indeed not be baked with leavened, and that will be their portion to me. Only those of Aaron's descendants may eat it, as their due for all time throughout the ages from any of God's gifts. Anything that touches these shall become holy.
You can come talk to Ellie. Finished with your tzitzit?
We don't sing now?
Now you do.
Now we do.
Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam, olam nata b'chokenu. Baruch atah Adonai, noten haTorah.
Amen. So, as we just read in this Torah portion, there are specific instructions for how to prepare things, and then it says at the end, anything that touches it shall become holy. And I see that looking at you, and then looking at it all of you, that you have made a lot of choices that led to this moment in the ways that you raised Paul and Allie and your families, in the ways that you made conscientious choices to make Judaism part of your lives and your community, and that everyone who has touched you, who has come after you, has continued to make choices that honor yours. So I hope that you get to take a moment to look out at your family and friends who love your kids and your grandkids, who have showed up, who have made your choices holy by continuing them and honoring them. And I hope that you feel honored and blessed to be able to share that moment with all of them. Mazel tov.
Thank you. That's a lovely thing to say. Really.
I tried. You can leave us one emissary, and the rest of you can go sit down.
Okay, let's go.
Like walk off,
wanna go?
yeah, the other way, like a big circle.
Yeah. Who's the emissary? You want an emissary? No.
One person. You can say. Looks like you got left
All
behind.
right, great. Come over here, Rabbi Stephen.
Just be careful of the cords.
And we'll pause for a moment. It's amazing to be surrounded by healthy grandparents, and we're going to take a moment now to pray for the health and healing of anyone in the community who needs health and healing. So if you are thinking about somebody this morning, I want to invite you to stand, and we say the names of the people who we're thinking about because because it's not a secret when somebody needs help. Actually, like the way that we help each other is by lifting each other up and showing up for each other, praying for each other at the very least. And we do that while the Torah is out at this part of the service because of the energy and the time and the commitment and strength it actually takes to learn and read Torah, which it does, as you have seen and will see. And we want to leverage that on behalf of anyone who needs a prayer, anyone who needs strength and healing in the community. So I'll invite you to stand if there's somebody you're thinking about. The words to the Mishaberach we sing are at the bottom of 82 in the hardcover book, but if you know this tune, then just sing along.
Help us find the
mentioned and everyone you're thinking about. Amen.
Ya'amdu Yehuda B'Tzalel ben David. Nope. Pesach ben Yehuda B'Tzalel, V'Aliza bat Yeruchem, L'Aliyah Revi'it. And Grandpa Charles, you are coming up to read. We are continuing with verse 12 on page 615. This is for you. It should be.
And it's. By Dabariel, I don't know.
I think it's a column over.
No, because that's where we started. No, over here somewhere.
No, this.
No, no,
No?
that's not it.
How about this one?
I saw it before.
Oh, here it is.
Oh, here. Carbon, yeah, this one, right.
You can take this and use my tzitzit to touch. You can turn it on or not, it's up to you.
There we go.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Borach Le'olam Vaed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor zeh karban aharon uvanav asher yakrivu l'Adonai v'yom himashach oto asiret ha'efa solet mincha tamid machatzita baboker umachatzita ba'arev al mahavat Bashamen Teyase Murbechet Teviena Tufine Min Hapitim Takriv Reach Nochoach Ladonai Vehakohen Hamashiach Tachtav Mibanav Yaase Ota Bukolam Ladonai Khalil Taktar V'chol minchat kohen Khalil tihyeh lo te'achel.
And God spoke to Moses again, saying, "This is the offering that Aaron his son shall offer on the occasion of his anointment: a lot of flour, a lot of grain, well soaked with baked slices. And so the priest anointed from among his sons to succeed him prepare it as it is God's a law for all time to turn entirely into smoke. So too every grain offering of a priest shall be a whole offering; it shall not be eaten."
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. So we just read these instructions for how Aaron is supposed to do his job, and it's this sacred, anointed job, and it's also very particular, morning and evening and afternoon, and do this in exactly this way. I imagine that the last year or so has felt a lot like that for you with Lucy, that there is all sorts of lessons and coordination and sessions to come to, and yet you do it with such joy that every time we've said, I think Lucy needs another Devar session, you both schedule one. And it's such a blessing to Lucy and to me to get to watch you completely throw yourselves into preparing her to be a Jewish adult, not only in the logistics, but also in the way that you live it, in the way that you have engaged with me, with the community, brought your own ideas. I remember our first conversation learning about what each of you do and how this means something to you. And I know that Lucy sees that and honors that, and that all of your friends and family see that and honor that, that you take the particulars of parenting and the big picture just as seriously to show Lucy exactly what it means to be a loving and caring Jewish adult who cares about the world and the people around them. So may you continue to be blessed watching your children live out your values. May it get slightly easier as they learn to do things like drive and get themselves places on their own. But thank you so much for throwing all of yourself into your children, into this process, into this community. We are so lucky and blessed to have you. Mazel tov. All right, it's your turn. Tamod, 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 Habachura, Habat Mitzvah, Leah Bat Pesach Ve'Eliza, Lalia Chamishit. Let's find where you're reading from. Oh, I can take my towels back. They do all look the same.
This one, right?
So take your tzitzit. Touch and kiss. Perfect.
Baruch et Adonai Havarach.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Havarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Ata Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
V'etaber Adonai El Moshe Lemor. Taber El Haron Ve'el Banav Lemor. Zotarat Ha'atat Bimkom Asher Tishachei Ha'olah Tishachei Ha'atat Lifnei Adonai Kodesh Kodeshim Hiv HaKohen Hamatei Ota Yochlana B'makom Kadosh Te'achel V'hatar O HaMoed Kol Asher Yiga Wait. Yivsara Yikdash V'asher Yizeh Midama Al HaBeged Asher B'ma What? Yizeh Alecha. Yizeh, did I just say that? Wait. That's where you were. Asher Yizeh Alecha. V'hatzar Al HaMoed. Wait, where are we? Sarah's gonna help us. Sorry. Shehabes b'makom kadosh uchli heres asher tivu shabo yishaver ve'im bichli nahoshe pushala umarak v'tushaf b'mayim kol zahar b'kohanim yohal ota kodesh kodeshim hi'iv v'chochatat asher tivu yuvamidama oh moed lehaper b'kodesh lo te'achel ha'esh tisaref.
And God spoke to Moses yet again. Speak to Aaron and his sons. This is the ritual of purification offering. Bring it before the Lord at the spot where the burnt offering is slaughtered. It is most holy. The priest who offers it as a purification offering shall eat it. Anything that touches it shall become holy, even blood spattered upon a garment. The earthen vessel which is boiled shall be broken. If it is boiled in a copper vessel, it will be scoured and rinsed. This is a very visceral and graphic and experiential moment for the Jewish people. Only the priestly line may eat of it. No purification offering may be eaten for which any blood is brought into the tent of meeting. For it is expiation sanctuary. It shall be consumed in fire.
All right, big and touching gets ready finished. You're going to do the blessing at the end.
Baruch atah Adonai, wait. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tuchenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. All right, there is some candy going around. What I want you to do is just ignore it for the next 2 minutes, okay? I know the temptation is to crinkle it or to eat it or to throw it. Don't do any of those. In just a minute, you're going to be invited to toss it very gently at Lucy. Your cue for that is when I say Mazel Tov, okay? So until that moment, hands off the candy. Lucy. I'm not going to say Mazel Tov because then people are going to throw things at you. I'm so proud of you. You did so amazing. Working with you has been genuinely so much fun for me. Not only because you are very, very similar to how I was at 13. And so it's been like working with a younger version of myself, but because you are fun and funny and smart and thoughtful and open. Every time we met for your Dvar Torah and I would ask you about your day, usually when I ask that of BMitzvah students, I get like a meh. And you would actually tell me things about your day. And we would have interesting discussions about what you think and about Torah and about life and the way that you see the world. And that is exactly what the Jewish people needs right now. People who are smart and funny and thoughtful. And you thought about not only what you were saying, but how it would impact the people listening to you. When you had ideas and then you said, you know what, I don't think that I'm going to feel great about my friends hearing that. I'm not going to say that in that way. That kind of emotional intelligence, that kind of awareness and connection to the people around you and the people that matter to you is so special and important. And we, as a Jewish people, are so blessed that you are part of us. And I say that not just because, you remind me a lot of me, but because you bring something that we need. The world is better because you are in it. The world is better because you have a voice and you know how to use it and you are thoughtful about it. And I hope that this experience of standing in front of your community and having them listen to you and honor you makes you remember all the time that we care so much about all of you, about what you think and feel and what you do, and we're so excited to cheer for you in all the ways that you work hard and grow and touch the people in your life. So I want to give everyone who is here a chance to join me in blessing you. We're going to say the priestly blessing, which was said in the time of the temple by the priests. And what they would do is raise their hands up like this with their fingers spread. You might recognize this if you're a Trekkie. The idea with this hand motion is to show that we are not ourselves giving blessings, we're just channeling them. That blessing and goodness exists in the world and we are directing it in a particular direction. So if you have been blessed in any way by knowing Lucy, by being part of this community, by being part of the Jewish people, raise your hands up and stretch them towards Lucy. Send her some of that goodness. I will bless Lucy with this blessing, and then Mazel Tov will be your cue to, again, gently toss that candy at her. She's worked hard for this, people. Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Adonai panav Elecha v'chuneka Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom. May you be blessed and may good things happen to you and may you experience peace and joy. Mazel tov!
Oh yeah, that's great. That's great. Torah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael beyad Moshe. We are doing good. Doing good.
opening the ark to close it. We're on page 92. Let's see. And now we're back in that hardcover book. Yasher Koach, Mishpachat Shulman. All right, we can take a seat, and for anybody who hasn't yet had a BMitzvah in this room, I invite you to crawl around on the floor and get as much candy as you want. You will have to fight my children for it. I bet you do. All right.
Chaos ensues.
Let me just say a couple of things about. We're so happy that you are here with us. For those of you who are here for the first time, we invite you back. For those of you who have been to Mishkan before, but it's been a while, we hope to see you again. And for those of you who we see all the time, I'm so happy. Let's keep it up. Passover is, in fact, next week. And if you are looking for plans for second night, we are doing an online Seder. Some of you are participating in it and leading things. Rabbi Dina is teaching a 4-part series in person, studying the book of Jeremiah, starting in 2 weeks. It's on Thursday mornings in our office. If you are interested, all of this information is on our website, but just to let you know that these things are happening, for you to find more information, we are starting a group for caregivers of neurodiverse children who are 10 and older. It's a 12-part series. It'll be supported by a clinician from JCFS, from Jewish Child and Family Services. We have one for 10 and over and one for 9 and under. And so if that sounds like it would be a welcome, supportive space for you, you can look up that. And then finally, next Sunday morning, during Passover, a few of our community members have organized a panel talking about perspectives on the pro-democracy movement in Israel. It's being hosted by a constitutional law professor from the University of Chicago and 2 activists from Israel, a Palestinian and Israeli woman, who are both part of the marches and the leadership of the sort of uprising to reclaim Israeli democracy, to learn more about it, and it's interactive. And so if you are curious about that, you can find information for that online too. We have a Sunday Torah study every single week run by Tim and a group of folks who are in that group studying Torah, who are hanging out yonder. Just to say, like, we're doing stuff almost every day of the week, and if you want to deepen your Jewish practice and learning, we invite you to do it with us. I'll hand it back over to you for some words of Torah, Rabbi Stephen.
So I was chatting to a friend this weekend about my plans for the next couple days, which I imagine for myself and for many of us involves setting aside a little bit of time to get ready for Passover. And when I was describing the slow turnover of my kitchen and getting rid of or storing anything that contains chametz, that leavened stuff that comes from either wheat or barley or spelt or oats or rye, which we are going to avoid for the 8 days of Passover, he said, this sounds like a perfect time for some spring cleaning. And it is a good time for spring cleaning. I imagine that I am not the only one in this room who uses the preparation for Passover to check the expiration dates on all the things that, spices have expiration dates, apparently, people. Things I learn every year. To actually take things off of my shelves and clean them. And to finally part with those purchases that I thought were a good idea, like a scone mix that has been sitting there forever. When I was walking down the aisles of the store, I'm like, I am totally gonna bake scones one day. I have not baked the scones. It's still there and it's gotta go. So whether we are going to spend hours scrubbing our kitchens or even just do a quick pass around our living room with a vacuum, the symbolic conclusion for our search for chametz is conducted traditionally with a feather, a spoon, and a candle. Now, the rabbis teach that we use this small, ephemeral light of the candle even if the moon is full, even if the sun is shining, even though time and technology have given us better and more efficient ways of illuminating our homes. And this insistence on tradition, I believe, contains a valuable and a really important message. So just as we use this small light of the candle to find the chametz in our homes, so too we use the light of our soul, that small ephemeral light, to find the chametz within each of us. As the Torah teaches, Ner Hashem nishmat adam chofes kol chadrei vaten, the soul of every person is like a candle, revealing our innermost parts. And so perhaps this is our task, these 24, 26 hours of Shabbat, a time when we take a break from work, including the physical labor of scrubbing and cleaning and searching for chametz, to turn our focus from the external preparation for Passover and look inward, probing those forgotten nooks and crannies of our hearts. So, what is the chametz that we might find within ourselves? So the Alter Rebbe teaches that chametz represents all the ways that we have become absorbed in our own needs and desires. Just as leavened dough fills the bowl where it has been left to proof, a fact that any fan of Great British Bake Off knows now, right? We know what proofing is, yeah. Just like the leavened dough fills the bowl when it's left to proof, our bloated egos can take up all the room in our hearts, leaving little space for concerns beyond ourselves. Matzah, by contrast, is likened to selflessness, a flattening of the ego, the ability to reserve space in our hearts for other people and for the experience of the divine. There are many ways that this chametz might accumulate within us, but like bread or muffins or cake, none of these self-absorbed tendencies are inherently bad. Caring for ourselves, concern for ourselves, is a vital and necessary part of surviving a world that is not always at its best. There are good reasons to be afraid of the dangers that exist outside of our doors. Loss and heartbreak necessitate focusing on our own needs for a time. Taking a moment to celebrate our accomplishments, to treat ourselves to something a little special, can be a profound act of gratitude. The problem lies when self-care becomes a habit of only caring about yourself. Where fear has kept us from endangering our lives and our livelihoods, it can also become the foundation for distrust, for insularity, and even for hate. Time spent healing our own wounds can sometimes lead to the belief that our pain is more acute and more urgent and more important than that of those around us. And we have seen how indulgence, when left unchecked, can create a society compromised by inequality, where those who have much refuse to share the abundance of this world with those who have very little. So if we are to truly prepare for Passover, we need to clean out more than our cupboards and closets. This is the moment to examine the clutter within our own hearts. Where have habits of caution, of care, and of celebration of the self become leavening agents for the ego that has left little room for much else? Which of these tendencies no longer serve us? leaving useless crumbs in the nooks and crannies of our soul that prevent us from becoming the very best expression of who we're meant to be? What can we clear away so that there is space within us that allows that flickering flame to shine just a little brighter? So our parasha this Shabbat, which Lucy read so beautifully, begins with a description of the priestly chores related to offering sacrifices at the Mishkan, that gathering space of the Israelites as they wandered through the wilderness. After the evening sacrifice has been left to burn through the entire night, the priest on duty gets up early the next morning to clear away the ash that has accumulated over the previous day. He stokes those fading embers of that Eish Tamid, that eternal flame, and adds more wood to feed it. Then the morning sacrifices, only then the morning sacrifices can proceed. To ensure that the Eish Tamid continues to burn, the priest has to clear away the residue of prior sacrifices. Too much ash and the fire would suffocate, preventing the priest from accomplishing this sacred task. We no longer look after the fire that burned for our ancestors, yet we are responsible for tending the light of our own soul, allowing it to become the candle that illuminates those forgotten corners of our hearts, so that we may identify those bloated and puffed up, leavened parts of our ego that prevent us from meeting the ethical demands of our tradition. This is, after all, the true aim of Passover. This holiday is not simply about remembering the past. It is an expression of how we meet this present moment. Like the priests at the Mishkan, each of us has also been given a sacred purpose. On Wednesday, we are going to read from the Haggadah, Avadim hayinu lefaro b'Mitzrayim. We were slaves to Pharaoh in Egypt. Slaves. One could argue that we should respond to this memory of enslavement by turning inward, by prioritizing our own needs and desires when the world has shown time and again such little concern for our own humanity. The political theorist Michael Walzer once wrote that wherever you are right now, it's probably Egypt, not liberation. And looking around us at the uptick in anti-Semitism, at the hatred directed towards trans and gender non-conforming folks, at book bans and the stifling of education in this country, at a world quite literally on fire, this probably feels more true this year than in years past. Yet we recall this history of enslavement, of subjugation and violence, precisely to turn our focus outward. The Torah reminds us, you know the soul of the stranger because you have also been strangers. Through ritual and food and liturgy, we reenact the moment that our people experience that transition from slavery to freedom. We do not remember this story to become absorbed in our own self-preservation. Instead, the residual pain of the past calls us toward every place where brokenness persists today and demands that we create space within our own hearts for the people we might find there. But if we're to have the capacity to meet the empathic call of this holiday, we need to do a little bit of spring cleaning. So let's take a moment to forget about the to-do list of Passover. It is Shabbat after all. And just take this next day to conduct an earnest search of the heart, finding those crumbs of spiritual and emotional chametz that no longer need to occupy space within you, even if they had a purpose at some point in time. What fears no longer protect you? What pain is it time to let go of? Where have you indulged your ego just a little bit too much? May each of us find room within our hearts that we can be filled anew with the words and lessons of this season. Shabbat Shalom, Chag Kasher v'Sameach. May the peace of Shabbat lead to a meaningful and joy-filled Passover. Amen to that.
And Yasher Koach. We're going to stand and turn to 109 for lines from the Aleinu. You can repeat after me.
Levav
So yesterday we observed the Trans Day of Remembrance, a day when we think of all trans and non-binary and gender non-conforming people in our community who have lost their lives the past year. And 2023 is already on track to be the deadliest year for trans folks in this country to date. And the increase in anti-trans legislation in this country only threatens to make that number even greater, because gender-affirming care is life-saving. And so we take a moment to think of those individuals who are no longer with us, that their memories not only be for a blessing, but for change, positive change, a revolution as well.
Amen, amen.
I want to create space also for those in our community who are remembering somebody, whether they died recently or in years past. I invite you to rise if you're in a period of mourning or observing a yard site. We'll take a moment to share the names of folks you're thinking of aloud. Is anybody observing a yard site in a period of mourning? May the memories be for a blessing. We're on page 111. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye zechol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala uvizman kari v'imru Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'me'al maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitraman v'yitnaseh. V'yit hadar, v'yit ale, v'yit halal, shemeh, tekudisha, brihu. La'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Oseh shalom b'imrumav, hu yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yishvei tevel, v'imru, amen.
Amen. Amen.
May all be comforted in this community.
Amen. Wow. We, in a moment, are going to transition into the part where we bless wine and bread and then eat many things. Wine, bread, but also a great lunch. And thank you to Taya Flau and Robert Hill, Lucy's grandparents, and also to Jeremy and Katie for feeding all of us who are staying here for lunch. I hope you are. If you are, well, basically for all of us, there are a lot of us in this room, and this is going to become a banquet hall. That will be made much more easy and streamlined if you grab your chair and take it to a table once the tables are set up. If you're not staying, go ahead and take your chair and just take it to the back of the room where Zach is right there. He is waving, he is gesturing at a cart where you can put a chair. Please feel free to just drop it back there. And for those of you, I'm just reading the note that I was given. For those of you who are at the western side of the room, we need you to pick up your chairs and move to the eastern side of the room, where Jerusalem is, while the tables are being set up. And please go out the north exit of the room for the buffet line. Thank you. Let's stand. Do you think it's going to be a problem to not do Oseh Shalom because we did it earlier? All right, we're on 113. I invite you to join us for Kiddush. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doratam b'rit olam. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, la'asot et ha-Shabbat le'doratam b'rit olam. Bein u'bein b'nei Yisrael, oti le'olam, oti
Shehu Savri.
L'chaim.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei b'ri hagafen.
Amen. It's just grape juice, totally kosher. At 13. All right.
The last challah for a little while.
Oh, that's right. Enjoy this last little bit of Shabbos Chametz.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen.
Take and pass, and then follow all those instructions I gave you about chairs and moving.
And Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
I can't hear anything. I'm just gonna assume we went in order.